Hey guys, Conquest is back today. It is starting at 2 p.m. Eastern, so in a few hours here. And this is the second iteration of Conquest where we are trying to earn shards to get new Gideon, Dark Trooper Gideon, whatever you want to call him. And I just wanted to put a little refresher together because they fixed some bugs and now things are going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, much smoother this time around, since last time it was considerably bumpy for people with just the overtune difficulty, etc. So before I hop into all of that kind of stuff, I do want to, as usual, say thank you so much to my patrons. I absolutely appreciate your support so much. It is a ton of fun. If you do want to support the channel, you can like, subscribe, leave a comment, etc., or you can join the Patreon as well and coming out on our Discord server, or just coming out on our Discord server in general. Get your roster roasted, etc. Okay, so let's talk about these fixes here for Conquest. So the first thing I want to go over is the bug fixes. So CG did put out a update October 18th, and they have fixed a couple of things to make note of for Conquest that made it, I don't want to say necessarily harder, but more grindy. So the big one is Malagus's doubt. So originally it looked like you could only get doubt from Malagus once from when he applied it the first time. It wasn't triggering from his unique. That has now been changed. It is going to count when doubt spreads because of Malagus's unique. That will count towards the feat as well, which is going to make that feat go much, much faster. Jedi Knight Cal, if we have him, which hopefully a lot more of us do now that his event came back around, Windmill defense wasn't counting towards On Guard, which is the armor shred feat. That is now also fixed. So that will count as well. And then there's just a couple of like disc fixes, things, just minor things. The biggest thing, in my opinion, is that doubt is going to be a lot faster. To be honest, I'm not worried about On Guard at all because that is Cheeseable, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But doubt was the biggest one that a lot of us don't have Afra, and it was very slow going if you weren't able to cheese it for whatever reason. Okay, so the next thing I do want to talk about is teams to keep in mind to look for in the zones. So it's nothing too crazy. The first one I do like to look for in general is a Grand Inquisitor team. I don't like to look for it other than for Phoenix wins. The Phoenix team can win against Grand Inquisitor teams really nicely, and it makes it so that you don't have to necessarily spam that Sector 1 Bad Batch node, and you can work on this feat as you're making your way through the sectors instead. You do want to keep in mind for this that you obviously want a Volatile Accelerator and Amplify Agony build. If you have Voluntary Vanguard on there, that is helpful as well, but you do need Rex's Zeta on his unique. Sorry, my dog is having a coughing fit. You do need Rex's Zeta on his unique to make this work. That's what gets the turn meter train going, and you're able to just kind of work your way through the sectors while keeping an eye out for Grand Inquisitor teams. I would just use the Phoenix team. So again, I wouldn't necessarily veer off of like the hard path or the challenge path if you're trying to stick to that to go and get one. But if you do see it, just kind of make a mental note in the back of your head that once you've got the proper disc set up, you can take your Phoenix team in and get a tick for that. The next one that I like to look for in every single sector, if possible, is a First Order team. Using this team because of crew being there, it's basically like having a nest in a way. You can cheese a lot of feats against him, particularly evasion down. Anything that you're trying to get buffs or debuffs, it's really great because you can just time out and just kind of go against it over and over and get as many as possible on him. You do want to keep in mind that some discs will make this not work. So if you have like stacking offense discs, you're going to kill crew and you're not going to time out on it. So you do want to keep that in the back of your head. But I do like to grab a First Order node in each sector just so that I can go back to it later on to cheese if I can't cheese against a Datacron node. So just another thing to keep in mind. Okay, let's talk about data discs because these are honestly what's going to make or break your strategy. So for this set, the discs that I personally like to look for shouldn't be very surprising. Obviously, Volatile Accelerator and Amplify Agni are kind of like married and the best duo. Yes, it's overhyped. Yes, it's overdone, etc., but it really just makes a lot of these feats so smooth and so quick, especially if you have undergeared teams. That being said, you also like to grab Voluntary Vanguard just to kind of force a taunt there if needed. Unstable Decelerator has been really handy this set to kind of slow down the enemies as well while you're debuffing them and giving yourself turn meter and all of that kind of thing. If you're working on cheeses, it's been really handy for specific feats. So I like to grab an Unstable Decelerator as well. And then the Ruthless Disc. So Ruthless Swiftness in particular, again, giving myself turn meter and protection recovery. I try to grab some of those as well. Discs as well that you might want to keep an eye out if you're not getting, the best selection. Obviously, protection recovery, like I mentioned. If you see a Deadly Catalyst disc, that is probably the only 4-dot disc I would pick up. The only 4-dot purple disc is a Deadly Catalyst. It stacks really nicely with Ruthless discs. So Ruthless Offense, Ruthless Swiftness, it just melts teams. So if you can't get a Volatile Accelerator, Amplify Agni build going, but you do see a Deadly Catalyst, 100% grab it. Caustic Emissions and Thermal Exhaust work really nicely too. They stack really nice with Volatile Accelerator, and Amplify Agni. Keep in mind that Thermal Exhaust, the thermals have the potential to steal your kills. So again, just something to kind of keep in the back of your head. Like I said, Ruthless Offense is really nice. Opportunistic Support, anything that really gives you protection or health recovery. Anything that's going to not be like a stacking offense type of thing. Stacking offense discs are great, don't get me wrong, but there are some feats here where if you're trying to cheese them, you want to prolong the battle as long as possible, and you also want to keep yourself alive for as long as possible. So discs like Fierce Persistence, Opportunistic Support, Protection Recovery, all of those kinds of things that are helping you stay alive longer will be working in your favor as you're going on with these feats. Okay, so those are the discs. Those are the bug fixes. The other thing that I do want to touch on a little bit is feats that are cheeseable. So the first one I want to point out is Riposte. So this is cheeseable against the Sector 4 boss. And the reason why it's cheeseable is because there's basically an I win button in this boss node. And as long as you don't hit that button, you are good to go. So I did take Malicos here the first time. The way that you want to have this set up, though, is you need the Deployable Cooling Systems consumable. Okay, you need the Deployable Cooling Systems consumable, and what that is going to do is lower your cooldowns every time, or you have the potential to lower your cooldowns every time that you gain a buff. So you can see here that Riposte is going to be coming from Dooku and Malicos, and the reason why I'm going with like a Jedi Knight Revan team here is because I'm getting so many buffs from Yoda. I'm able to heal with Jedi Knight Revan. I'm able to heal with Shock. So I can just kind of prolong that battle as long as possible to keep it going. So the good thing with this is it's a Deployable Cooling Systems tick. So you equip the consumable and you get the 15 points for that global feat. And then you are able to get the feat done in 1 or 2 battles maximum here. The first time I went in with this, I did take Malicos, as you can see here. Personally, what I would do this time coming up is I would actually take Watt instead, which I did also do for this feat. And all that does is it gives you a little bit more of not necessarily survivability, but kind of like a security blanket for Dooku. So on the off chance your Dooku dies, you can use Watt to revive him since he is a separatist. So there is that added benefit there. But really all that's happening here is I'm just using Yoda to spread buffs as much as possible. Every time he spreads buffs, he has so many of them to spread, you have a chance to reduce your cooldowns. which means that 95% of the time when Dooku takes a turn, he's going to have his riposte ability ready to go. I do have shock there. Her middle ability is a cleanse, so if anyone is ability blocked, I did try to cleanse that whenever I could, just to make sure, again, riposte is available or spreading buffs with Yoda is available. And then she obviously has a heal, and the really great thing about her heal, and it's a call to assist, first of all, but it heals herself and it heals her target ally. So if you are, say, taking in a weaker Dooku or a weaker Malicos, etc., you can heal them specifically and keep them alive. When I was taking in Watt for this, I was healing Watt in particular, Watt and Dooku pretty much consistently. And then obviously Jedi Knight Revan has a cleanse and a heal as well. So it's just all of the cleansing, all of the healing, all of the buff spreading, and then you are just timing out here. You never hit the I win button, and you just do riposte as much as possible. So again, you'll get the tick towards the deployable cooling systems being used, and you'll get as many ripostes as you rack up here in this battle. Now, because you are not going to win, deployable cooling systems gets to hang around, and you can use it again to cheese doubt. You can use it to cheese armor shred. Armor shred is also a sector 4 feat, so you can cheese it on this boss. It is fantastic because it's technically not a debuff. And unless CG quietly fixes this in the background, which let's hope they won't. They haven't said they are. It is technically not a debuff, which means armor shred will land on Vader and Palpatine here, and it will count towards however many you rack up for the feat. So again, using deployable cooling systems, I would take the exact same trio up front, and then I would replace Dooku and Malicos with characters that apply armor shred. So Gas, Cam, Sabine, Jedi Knight Cal, whoever else that you want to throw in there, Zalbar, that applies armor shred, and just go through the motions, again, spreading your buffs, reducing your cooldowns, using deployable cooling systems. Again, you don't win, and then you go and do Doubt in Sector 3. So I personally don't have a video of Doubt being cheesed. I will post a link to Tripolis's video. It is really great. You do it against the mini boss. It works fantastically. I did repeat it myself. Again, deployable cooling systems. So you're going to take that one consumable and you're not going to win, and you're going to get these feats done by timing out, not using up that consumable, and you'll be able to get them done a lot faster. So like I said, I don't have the video exactly of that one, but I will post the link below in the comments or in the video description so that you're able to look at it yourself and get a look. I did specifically mention in my discs to look for and discs to kind of keep in mind, keep your eye out for, etc. Discs that are protection recovery and all of that, and that is what you want for the Doubt feat. I will also post his Tusken video, Tusken Warrior kills, because it is really good. I personally was not able to replicate how many kills he was getting each time, but I was able to get very close, and you can do that on the mini boss as well. So you don't have to look for a specific squad to get Doubt or the warrior kills done, because you're able to take advantage of the mini bosses in sectors 3 and sector 4 for it. Okay. So that being said, let's talk about like an updated strategy here, because that is pretty much the main thing. So what I am going to suggest is you want to get the Wookiee wins, the global feat, done as soon as possible. That is the feat that is going to give you deployable cooling systems, which is going to make it possible for you to cheese a lot of these other feats. And what I would do, because you're doing that, once you get deployable cooling systems, you're going to be able to cheese at least 3, Armor Shred, Riposte, and Doubt. Those 3, I personally would save until the end, at least Doubt, because there's 2 factors here. 1, I don't want to change my discs more than once. But 2, I also don't want to use up deployable cooling systems if I don't have to use it. And since you can't theoretically unequip it. You would have to equip a different tech consumable to take the place and use it if you just want to burn a consumable so that you're not accidentally using deployable cooling systems later on when you want to go back to it. By that, I mean, like, let's say you go and do Riposte. You put deployable cooling systems on, and then you decide, I'm going to go into Sector 5 and work on Empire kills or winning without losing anyone, basically. Whatever it is that you want to win for. You don't want to use up your deployable cooling systems because you still need it for Armor Shred and Doubt to be able to cheese it. So then you need to equip a tech consumable to replace the deployable cooling systems that you have equipped, because you can't just unequip it. You have to equip something else. I realize this sounds very convoluted. So let's say you equip a Frenzy or a Tether Tech or whichever one you want. Go in, win a battle, so that consumable gets burned, and you still have your deployable cooling systems for later. So you either have to remember to do that, or if you're like me, you're going to forget, you're going to burn your deployable cooling systems and now it's gone, and you still want to be able to cheese these other feats later on. So I personally am going to save those feats for the end. So yes, finishing the Wookiee wins is great because you're going to get that consumable. If you don't care about swapping discs, and if you are fine to just repeat the battle once you have that deployable cooling systems equipped, and you're just going to go through it, even if you kill, let's say, the Sector 3 mini boss too quickly, so Doubt is gonna take a little bit longer, or whatever the case may be, by all means, go ahead and equip it. But you're gonna use deployable cooling systems to cheese. And because you're able to cheese these 3 relatively easily, and because the Tusken Warrior kills are a little bit easier to attain than what we initially thought. Like, you can get it done in, let's say, 4 to 6 battles roughly on that mini boss node, which is pretty good. Possibly less, because if you're doing the win 14 battles with a full Tusken squad, you might as well do it on that mini boss node as well and try and get some warrior kills while you're at it. But let's say it's 4 to 6 battles. Those are a lot of battles now that you've opened up and points that you've opened up. So you could skip, say, 40 wins with your Ewok team. So things to keep in mind. Hopefully that is helpful. Again, like I mentioned, I am definitely going to link the videos from Tripolysis as he's shown. We'll link that. And then I'm also going to link all of the videos from my sectors 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, etc. If you have any questions, please drop them below. If you are at all worried or just looking for help or anything like that for Conquest, definitely hop into the H&N Discord server, which is also linked below. There are a ton of us that are willing to help out with Conquest, and don't feel like you're stuck and that you can't push forward, because Red Crate is definitely achievable, especially now that they've fixed some of these bugs. So hopefully that was a decent refresher before we get started later today, and I wish everybody the best. Thanks, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it, and good luck.